Hi, I'm Benita and I'm from India. My parents are super strict and my dad always says that I can't have my first kiss until I'm 50. Before I continue, please like and subscribe. My dad wasn't always a control freak, but I believe it all started while we were exploring Amber Fort in Jaipur during a family vacation. It was a beautiful place and I was having loads of fun until… Where's Anya? We looked around but my sister was nowhere to be found. We have to look everywhere. And if we don't find her, I'll have to call the police. Just as we were about to give up, I spotted the scarf of Anya's sari blowing in the wind around the corner. Dad, look over there! We walked over and found Anya in the arms of some guy. They were in the middle of a really intense makeout. I'll spare you from hearing all of the horrible things my parents told her, but when we got home, she was locked in her room and told she wouldn't be able to go anywhere but school for at least a year. Then my dad came to my room and gave me a lecture.
I don't want you around boys. They're nothing but trouble, and I know that because I was young once. Don't you even dare to do what your sister did until you're 50. Kissing is strictly forbidden, and if you disobey my rule, there will be some serious consequences.
Okay, Daddy.
Also, you're grounded.
But I didn't do anything. I was only 5 years old, so can you imagine my confusion? Anyway, I did well for a while. I totally avoided boys, but in the 6th grade, I started developing feelings for a really cute boy in my class. His name was Pulkit, and he'd always ask me to hang out with him at lunchtime. I always refused, but that particular day, I just couldn't. We had an amazing lunch together. We shared our snacks, a few jokes, and went back to class. When I got home, my dad was waiting with a look of fury. Pavan, please don't yell at her, my mom pleaded. She grabbed my arm and dragged me to the couch.
We know you had lunch with a boy.
I was shocked. How did they know?
And you're probably wondering how we know this. We paid him to ask you to sit with him so we could find out whether or not you were obedient. But you're not. You're a rotten daughter. And you're grounded for a year. You're lucky your mother stepped in, or you would have been grounded for 10 years.
I'm sorry, Daddy. Sorry, Mommy.
Go to your room.
So I spent the early years of secondary school trying to ignore boys and my friends whenever they spoke about boys. I tried to do other things so I wouldn't concentrate on that. I joined a whole bunch of clubs, even the chess club, and somehow I became the treasurer, so I was in charge of all the money. Don't get bored because I started talking about chess, because I'm about to tell you about something super embarrassing that happened to me. We had saved enough money to buy a new chess set, so I went to the store after school to buy it. It was my responsibility since I dealt with the money. I went to the store, picked the most beautiful looking one, and went to the cashier. She scanned the box, told me the price, and when I looked into the bag, the money wasn't there. Well, you're going to have to put it back. Hurry up, child, I don't have all day. I wanted to burst into tears, but suddenly a hand touched my shoulder. I turned around and saw him.
Here, I can give you the money.
This gorgeous stranger paid for me and asked me if I'd walk outside with him.
My name's Peter, by the way. I'm from Australia. My family moved here last year. I love curry.
Hey, there's more to India than curry.
I know. Maybe you can teach me.
He walked me back to school and asked me if I'd meet him there the next day. Sure, I replied, because I wasn't about to miss an opportunity like that. I just have to be smart about it and make sure my dad didn't find out. Peter and I started meeting every day after school. He'd want to walk hand in hand through the streets, but I couldn't risk it. I kept taking him to secluded locations so that we could have some privacy and nobody would spot us and tell my dad. This worked for 2 months, and that was all the time I needed to fall head over heels in love with him. Our first kiss was like nothing I'd ever experienced in my entire life. It felt like there were little surges of electricity passing through different parts of my body. I think I became addicted to that feeling. So much for waiting until I was 50. I was 15. I was convinced that this was the person I would marry. He was my soulmate, my forever person. But all of that came crashing on my head one Saturday. I was just woken up and I was walking downstairs to get breakfast. I heard a knock at the door and my dad went to answer it. I froze. Peter was standing there with a bouquet of roses, pink and red ones. They were so beautiful.
Good morning. You must be Benita's father. I came to bring you these flowers. Why are you bringing my daughter flowers? Who are you? I'm her boyfriend, Peter. Nice to meet you, future dad-in-law. I came to ask if I could take her to the movies tonight. I mean, we've gone out many times, but I've never really taken her on a real date.
Can you imagine the embarrassment? My dad told him to get lost in the rudest possible way and then punished me after. I didn't get to talk to Peter again until senior high school. I don't know if the universe was messing with me or something, but somehow we ended up in the same class. He smiled shyly at me and I realized I still couldn't resist him. although we were much older now. We hid in a corridor to talk that same day.
Hey, I'm so sorry about what happened. I didn't know you weren't allowed to date.
I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I just enjoyed being around you so much, and I didn't want anything to ruin that. He hugged me, and just like that, electricity and fireworks again. He'd become a better kisser. But then, I opened my eyes and saw a flash.
I'm gonna make some money today.
It was Pulkit. Remember that stupid kid my parents set me up with in middle school? When I got home, my dad had already seen the picture, and he was throwing all my things into trash bags. Dad, what are you doing?
You won't follow my rules, you won't live under my roof.
Dad, stop! At that moment, my mom walked in and tried to reason with him.
Pavan, be reasonable. We can just send her to a different school. That boy seems to be the problem, but if we send her somewhere else, he won't be there. We can't give up on her. She's our daughter. Fine.
My dad stopped and I unpacked all the trash bags. I was sent to a different school the next week. I hated it there, and I was filled with anger against my father. I wanted revenge, so I decided that I was going to make out with as many boys as I could. In a month, I probably kissed 10 different guys, and none of them knew about each other. It gave me this thrill that I just couldn't describe. My latest guy was the one I'd been trying to get for a while. He was older than me and probably the most popular guy on campus. I finally had him where I wanted him, all alone with me in an empty classroom. I flirted a while and then he kissed me. It was so perfect and romantic that when I heard the door open, I didn't even care who was watching.
Benita?
I reluctantly pulled away from my hottie. Peter? What are you doing here?
I asked my parents to transfer me here so I could be with you, but what are you doing here with him? I thought you loved me.
He looked like he was about to cry, then he ran out of the room. I ran after him, begging him to stop. He refused and he wouldn't talk to me for days. But was this proof that Peter really was the one for me? I mean, look at all he did just to be with me. When I finally got him to talk to me, I explained how angry my father made me and why he found me kissing that guy in the classroom.
I understand.
You do?
Yes, listen, I have an idea. We both want to be with each other, right?
Of course.
My family has this house a few miles away. We can run away together, just for a while. Then no one can disturb us. I'll let my parents know, but you don't have to tell yours anything. Maybe they'll appreciate you a little more when you reappear after a few weeks.
That sounds like the perfect idea. Just me and you together in a house? Yes, Peter, let's leave today. I didn't even bother to pack a bag or anything. After school that day, I got into Peter's car and we drove far, far away. After about 5 hours, my mom and dad tried to call. I put the phone on airplane mode and threw it on the back seat. Then it got dark and it all felt so perfect, driving through the night with the love of my life. He grabbed my hand and I smiled, but that smile didn't last for a long time. We noticed blue and red flashing lights behind us, and then we heard sirens. Oh no, I think you should pull over. I was afraid my parents had already put out a missing persons report and someone had spotted me and reported it to the police.
Sir, you're driving over the speed limit. You look so young, so I'll let you go without a ticket now, but don't let it happen again.
I felt relieved. We drove for a few more hours, then Peter parked and told me we'd have to walk the rest of the way. We walked up an isolated hill for a few minutes, and then we reached a beautiful house. I was so excited that I'd get to spend time with Peter there. We opened the door, and before I even got a chance to look around, a tall blonde girl jumped into Peter's arms and started kissing him all over. I missed you so much! I came here to surprise you! I walked towards them and pushed her away angrily. Who do you think you are? Peter, how could you do this to me?
She's my ex-girlfriend. I met her some time after your dad kicked me out of your house. We really had a lot of chemistry, but she moved to a different country for a while. I thought all hope was lost, which is why I tried to see if we still had a chance. But the truth is, I'm still in love with her. Emily, I missed you so much.
He grabbed Emily and kissed her while I stood there not knowing what to do. Their kiss was so long and passionate that I felt like throwing up. I had no choice but to find my way back to my parents' house, crying all the way there. You can probably tell how angry my parents were, but I didn't care because I was busy plotting my revenge. Guess who I'm dating now? You'll never believe it. In fact, sometimes I don't. But did you know that Peter has a hot older brother? And he's a way cuter. Peter is so mad when I came over to see him, and that's just the sweetest payback ever.